Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's the Angel City guys here. Brennan's here. Got a very special guest for me. This is one I'm really excited about. This is Linkara. Some of you may know him from his History of the Power Rangers special. And, I just got a few questions for you really quick, sir, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Sorry, man, I'm just in awe a little bit, I have to admit.
As well you should be. I am a very awe-inspiring figure.
Well, I guess my first question would be, obviously I assume Power Rangers fan. What made you pick doing the History of Power Rangers as opposed to maybe something else?
On my regular show, Atop the Fourth Wall, I did an episode which was kind of a, there were storyline elements, and there was kind of a throwback and homage to Power Rangers, because I enjoyed watching it as a kid. So, as I'm looking for inspiration, so I rewatched a bunch of old episodes, and I'm like, wow, I'm starting to see connections here that I didn't, really see as a kid. I'm, obviously a lot of this stuff with like theme and intent and like critical analysis, the kind of thing, was not on the intentional part of the creators. But I'm like, you know what? I am overthinking a lot of this, and I want to get that overthinking thought out there. Hence the creation of the first History of Power Rangers, especially in light of the fact that at the time, RPM had wrapped up, and it was announced that they were basically ending the series and only doing the reversion to Mighty Morphin Days. So I was like, I can knock this out over time. It's not going to be an issue. And then it was renewed, and now I am forever trapped doing this.
Right on. Well, I mean, speaking of what you said about critical analysis and, maybe overthinking it a tad, your series is so in-depth. It's something that, that's what really struck me, and that's what made me such a fan, is how in-depth you were, and just, the way you go, not quite episode by episode, but you go very close to it. And I was wondering, when you were doing this and during the process of your research and things, what sort of things did you maybe discover or rediscover, things that just, kind of struck you?
Well, like I said, the big thing that I was noticing was this overarching idea of magic versus technology in the early seasons. Now, again, this was clearly not intentional on the part of the creators, but it felt like there was just this subtle thing where this was a war going on between Rita's sorcery versus the more high-tech stuff that the command center had on display, and that Billy was always inventing new devices for them. And now, over time, obviously, that changed, and different seasons have their own kind of themes and ideas and recurring motifs and stuff like that. But it's that idea of like, wow, I'm really thinking way too hard about this, and I want to express that and talk to people about that. That's what got me wanting to do it more.
Well, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and I think that's what, probably definitely what struck me. It must have been what struck other people as well, is the fact that, being able to overthink it, but just being able to draw stuff from it, this time around, not being, a kid anymore, and taking it more than just face value.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that my stuff is in-depth. I don't know how in-depth my stuff really is. I mean, I'm not to poo-poo my own stuff, but I like to... I don't know what I'm saying anymore. No, I like to think I'm doing that. It's really up to people themselves to decide whether or not I really am or not. I like to think I am offering at least a critical analysis of it, even if, I know some seasons are deeper than others. Obviously, Megaforce is not going to be as deep as, say, I did a very in-depth analysis of what I thought was Tommy Oliver's psyche in Dino Thunder, with his recurring changes. He's invisible, he's stuck in morph form, he's having this internal battle with himself, and me trying to analyze symbolism and all that with that. Versus, say, Megaforce, which is more critical of it as an anniversary season, its lack of setup and payoff as a narrative, and how nothing seems to change. Some things are more positive critique versus some things which are more, why did this fail kind of thing.
I understand exactly what you mean, and I guess at this point I should ask, what do you have in the future? Any more projects in the pipeline? Maybe things similar to this? Maybe additions to this? Anything you can let us know about?
Well, I can tell you that there's never going to be any project as huge as History of Power Rangers. If I'm going to do any more kind of retrospectives like that, it's going to be for series that are dead and are never coming back. I probably won't do it for Star Trek. I probably won't do it for Doctor Who. I have thought about doing it for the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. Because I really enjoyed that. I rewatched that a year or two ago, and I was like, wow, I'm really starting to see some great, interesting narrative threads, much like how with History of Power Rangers. Fortunately, a fan, I thought it would be impossible for me to do without using really terrible footage. A fan donated to me rips from the UK DVDs, which have the entire series, so I'm eternally grateful to them for that. So I will probably end up doing something like that somewhere down the road. Otherwise, right now, we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Atop the Fourth Wall this year, and the 10th anniversary storyline is coming up in September and October, as well as, of course, Long Box of the Damned.
Well, right on. Thank you very much. I already see the line forming here a little bit. You've been very gracious with your time, and I truly appreciate it. So I guess if I just have to ask you one more question, it would be, sorry, I meant to ask it before, but
It's all good.
why was it Power Rangers? I know you said you kind of noticed things like later on as you're watching it, but what made you pick Power Rangers as opposed to maybe something else like the films you had mentioned earlier?
Power Rangers was a big part of my childhood. I watched it from day one when it first came out. Now, mind you, after In Space, I fell off the show. I tried to keep watching it, but Lost Galaxy just didn't connect with me, mostly because of the cast changeover. But there was something about it that really appealed to me as a kid, and it kind of foreshadowed my love of superhero stuff and tokusatsu, and of course, giant monsters fighting with giant robots.
Of course, everyone's favorite thing. So I guess with that said, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Oh, there he is.
This is Linkara. If you haven't seen any of his work, I definitely recommend checking it out. History of Power Rangers is one of the more in-depth things you'll ever see on the internet about any show, and it's fantastic. So this is Brennan with the Angel City guys. Have a good one.